Hello and welcome to this Edexcel GCSE Geography exam skills video. This one we're looking at the command words and key terms, and this is part 3 in the series, and this is where we're starting to look at the level marked answers rather than the point marked questions that we saw in parts 1 and 2. Now for this one we're going to focus explicitly on the examine questions. Now remember, for all of these videos we've just looked at the common features of questions in the past and from the exam board. There may be some variations in the papers that you sit, but we hopefully, by the work that you can see on here, it will give you an idea of the type of questions and the way that you can go about answering them to help you get the best possible result. So in the first two videos we looked at the simpler point marked questions. Now we're going to look at the longer answers, the traditionally essay based questions, and we're going to specifically look at this one, examine today. Now here's a breakdown. As you've seen before, these are the different command words you're going to see and how many marks each of them are worth. Examine, we can see, is going to be worth 8 marks here, and remember, it's always worth 8 marks. It will always be based on a resource, and you must use that resource, and we'll show you why shortly. But the examine questions are only found in papers 1 and 2 in paper 1. It's only found for both the rivers and the coasts section. They don't have assess, they don't have an evaluate, they will always be examine, so you know what to expect. Now for these, 4 marks are for the explanation of the process or the reasons why something is happening. The other 4 marks will be backing up your answer with information from the resource. Now, even if you're not quite sure of how to explain it in detail, even if you only know a couple of stages or a couple of points, you can still do well by using the information from the resource to help you answer the question. It's about the application of your understanding. And it's important to realize that these are level marked, not point marked. And I'll explain what that is now. So this is the mark scheme the examiners will have to work from. And we can see there are 3 different levels, 1, 2, and 3, surprisingly. And for level 1, you can get 1 to 3 marks. Level 2, 4 to 6 marks. For level 3 is worth 7 and 8 marks. Now, if we look at this, if you're aiming for a level sort of 8 or 9, you're really looking at trying to get the 7 or 8 marks here. If you're looking at levels 5 to 7, then you're probably looking at a level 2. If you're looking for a 4 and 5, then you're looking at getting the higher end of this. Now see, to get a level 1, if you read this through, you've got some of the information in there, you've got a bit of an understanding, but it's not really made that much sense, but you've given it a go. And you've got some relevant stuff in there, you've got some of the key terms that you need. So even if you're struggling with the answer, just have a go at it. Think of some of the keywords that would be relevant, the key information, and also just try and give a bit of information from the resource, even if it's copying it down or stating basic facts, such as the direction of something or the size of something. That will help you to get the marks. For level 2 is where we're starting to, we've got a more detailed answers. We've got some of the key points in there, but maybe not in its entirety. It may not be the best answer. There may be some bits wrong, and you've only used 1 or 2 bits from the resource to help you. Now, this does not have to be a massively long written answer. It is about the quality of the information you've chosen, which is important to you. Now, to help you understand a little bit more what we're looking for, I've broken it down and simplified the mark scheme. So if we look in red, applies understanding to deconstruct information and provide logical connections between concepts throughout. You're probably thinking, what the hell does that mean? Well, basically, have you selected the correct information to answer the question? Have you used key geographical terms? Have you mentioned the key processes or the key location, the key things that are relevant to the question? Is it a balanced and well-developed argument that synthesizes stuff? Show that you've linked your information to answer the question and that you've given a number of different factors and made them balanced. Understanding coherently, leading to judgments that are supported from evidence throughout. Are you saying things like, this is important? Are you showing a good understanding based on the information that you've got? And then finally, the last bit, use geographical skills to obtain accurate information that supports all aspects of the argument. Have you used the information from the resource to back up your explanation? It's as simple as that. So, let's have a look at a couple of examples to help you through here. So if we look at this one, we've got this diagram. Study figure 2. Examine how physical processes work together in the formation of the spit shown in figure 2. So the command word, examine. We know it's going to be worth 8 marks. The physical processes. So this is where we need to show our explanation, our understanding. What physical processes are involved in a spit? Now notice here, there's this little bit of assistance here. These will only be found in Geography A, that's the one that you're doing, and will always be resource based and carry 8 marks. So first of all, you need to think about what are the physical processes that are involved. Okay, so have a think about that. You know, we've got wind direction, movement of sediment. What's the geographical term for that? How does the spit form here? You've got all this information to help you. So for the 4 marks, what are you looking at? Well, you're looking at maybe talking about transportation and longshore drift. You're looking at the fact if you've got deposition occurring leading to the formation of the spit and the salt marsh behind it. You're looking at the fact that the spit doesn't connect the other headland because of the river moving out there. So those would be the 4 marks for the AO3, Assessment Objective 3. That would be your explanation, explaining and linking those. The other 4 marks would be information from the resource. So, longshore drift. What direction is that occurring? Well, it's moving from west to east because here's the north arrow. So it's moving from west to east because the wind direction is from the southwest. Where the headland changed shape, the transportation continues, but because it's more sheltered, then deposition occurs. This is forming the spit. Now the spit, we could measure it. 2 centimetres is 5 kilometres. Measure it. So that's probably about 5 centimetres, so it might be 10 kilometres long. We can see there is a salt marsh formed to the north of the spit. We can see that the fastest flowing river prevents the spit from growing further east. So things like that are going to show that you've used this resource and built it together in your answer. And if we look at the mark scheme, this is exactly what it says. So if you want to, you can pause and read through this. But the key to this is you've got to make sure that this information here isn't separate. It's got to be put in the correct place here. So maybe think, where could you talk about prevailing wind is southwesterly and the longshore drift moving west to east? Well, maybe you'd want to put that information with this paragraph here. Please note, you don't necessarily need all of that information to get the 8 marks. Yeah, you'd want perhaps half of this, the key information, and 3 or 4 bits of evidence here, well linked in, and that would get you the 8 marks. So it's not a massive amount of writing for you to do. It's about showing you've made those logical connections and you've got the key concepts throughout, and you've used geographical skills to find the information from the resource. So that's a physical processes one. Here we've got another question. Examine how physical processes and human activities affect the risk of river flooding in this landscape. Now, study figure 4. This is figure 4. You've got to be using this here. 4 bits of information on there. We've got to examine how physical processes and human activities. So we're looking 2 different parts to this. What are the physical processes that can affect flooding here? What are the human activities that can affect flooding here? Well, one of the physical factors may be heavy rainfall. When you get heavy rainfall, it's going to lead to increased surface runoff, more water in rivers, leading to floods. Is there anything on this resource that might back that up? Well, yes. December 2015 was the wettest month ever on record. Therefore, this means that. So, therefore, this leads to. Is there anything else on here that you can see is physical? Then you need to look at the human activities. So what human activities? What is your understanding of human activities? Well, it might be building of settlement because of the urbanization leads to harder surfaces, increasing surface runoff. It may be deforestation, meaning there's less interception, which increases surface runoff, meaning more water reaches the river more quickly, increasing the levels of the river, encouraging it to overflow its bank full capacity, leading to flooding. Is there information that you could use to back that up? Settlement. York is a large area, large urbanized area. There has been deforestation because of agriculture. So you could use this information as part of your explanation. And quote, figure 4 says, figure 4 shows, you can see in the resource that. Make sure you've got those terms in there as well as the connectives for explanations. If we look at the mark scheme then, here we can see this is the information on your understanding and knowledge. All the things that we've talked about just. And then here is the information from the resource. Again, you wouldn't need to write all of this. It's about linking those key factors in together. The beauty of this one, physical process, human activities, you can see you've got a nice structure. You've got 2 different paragraphs. You could talk about physical processes is the amount of rivers and the wettest month, the human factors, population size and settlement, and deforestation. So that's it for the examine style questions. Really is quite straightforward. Basically, it's a 4-mark explain, but using evidence from the resource. So there's no reason why everyone can't be getting at least a high level 2 if you know how to answer this question, because the answer is actually given to you from the resource. So use the resource and use your common sense to think how it works. So thanks very much for watching. I hope you found this one useful. Remember, you can watch it back whenever you need to. Please have a look at the other videos in the series as well, because they will help you with the different types of questions. And don't forget, we'll also be looking at the evaluate and assess questions in another video, so the longer level mark ones. So thanks very much for watching. Take care. Bye.